Hi, this is Andy Frith from Sheffield Advanced Motorcyclists, out on an observed run with Sue Lodge, who's looking to take a Green Badge Plus. So this standard is above a first class Green Badge and probably about halfway to the Masters. We're approaching Winkersley Roundabout here, and you decided to take the near side lane. I was just wondering why you didn't consider the offside there behind that red hatch. Because you'd have made progress past these two vehicles onto the continuing dual carriageway. We're going straight ahead. Because halfway around this roundabout you do a big shoulder check and then decide to move out into the offside lane anyway. So the offside would have been the preferred route around all that and made it a lot more easier to navigate. Coming up to the traffic lights here, you could have rolled off a lot sooner, and I know you said you were practicing putting your leg down, but your right leg didn't go and then your left leg didn't, and it all just looked a little bit wobbly. So keep on practicing that, but you could have slow ridden up to those lights and not even had to put your feet down. Took up the centre position here because we're going straight ahead, but that heavy on the left, take note that on these type of roundabouts they often cut the line. You've moved right over to the very edge of your lane and you had this vehicle coming up on the offside. So again, it might have been better just to let that heavy go or take him on the straight bit on the roundabout. Here we are after Maltby, approaching Tick Hill. This was quite a good section for you. I like your positioning, and we were tripping on. But looking at my speedo, and we're doing about 54, and again in debrief it came up, you didn't really make much effort to approach those cars in front to really look whether we were on for an overtake. You seem to be quite happy to sit there in this following position. And then this occurred going up the hill. You went to the offside there, but if you look ahead of the cross view, you've got an oncoming right at the top of the hill. And of course you saw him eventually, but even from earlier on we saw that overtake wasn't on. Gone through Bawtry now, on the way to Gainsborough through Drakeholes, and this is quite a nice little back section, but I thought that you never really got up to speed. We're in a national now and we're still doing 30 odd. And it gradually builds up to 60 miles an hour, and we did discuss this in debrief, and this was evident right through your ride. It was a very safe ride, your positioning was very good, you've really taken on board the safety position, but there just wasn't any sparkle, there wasn't any zip, and it became particularly noticeable towards the end of the ride. Here we're just heading towards Retford. These 50 mile an hour on these the speed limit on this stretch, and quite nice positioning. But again, you could have just squeezed that 50 miles an hour. Another 5 miles an hour would have made it feel so much better. Good safety positioning. Maybe another foot there. The overtake was okay. Into the 40s. This car was being quite slow. Nice outward position and taking him quite smoothly. That was quite nice. So on this section we're through Gainsborough now, into the Nationals on the way towards Blyton, and again the same thing. The theme of the ride was safe, it was smooth, but we were doing 52 miles an hour in a National, and particularly towards the end of this ride you never really seemed to get on it, and after debrief, as we'll see, that totally transformed. So this definitely was a ride of two halves. I think you were very conscious of the fact you're being followed and you're under assessment. We need all this. We need the smoothness, we need the safety, we need the advanced techniques, but it's all got to be done with alacrity, with a bit of spirit and style. Sparkle, as we described, very subjective, but we're just trundling along here. 57 now, 55 on my speedo, and I was thinking at this stage we really need to get on it. one of the few overtakes that you did do, this was on the way to Curtin Lindsey. This car was tripping along actually. I mean, it was doing 55, 57. You went out for the overtake, thought it's clear, but there's a lay-by or an entrance on the right there, there's another house entrance on the right here, and you were definitely speeding, overtaking him, so that wasn't on that overtake. Bends after the overtake here were quite nice. They were quite tight bends, these, good positioning again, and it felt a little bit better this bit. We've got some really good cross views on these tight bends, flat countryside, and like you mentioned on debrief, it can be a bit disorientated sometimes as to which way the road's going, but you took them quite well, and it just shows that you can do it when you want to, and like I say, the second half of the ride was so much better. A little bit slow into these bends, so we practiced that after the break, and it got better. So you're slowing down too much, not reading the bend sufficiently well on these sections. Nicely dealt with these cyclists. It was hard to identify what these were. They've got these big backpacks on. Wasn't quite sure, but you did well with the vulnerable road user there. And again, some tight left-handers. Again, good cross views. Should be taking the view there. Quite good positioning around the bend. Maybe just a little bit more towards the offside. And again, good cross view to the right. Should be picking up on that vehicle now. And I don't think you did, because your position on this was towards the apex rather than staying out on the wider circumference. And it's a narrow road, you weren't too close to the vehicle, but I'm not so sure that you knew it was coming. So you've got to really pick up your distance vision. And again, we worked on that on the second part of the ride. We're on comms here, and I was asking you to talk me through this overtake, and you started saying, well, I'm looking up the road, and really we should have gone there, because by the time you'd decided to possibly have a go, I came and said, no, it's too late, we're coming up on stuff, and you took a long time to decide. So that's another thing about the Green Badge Plus, it's being able to spot the opportunity and taking it straight away, not missing an overtake. This is the second part of the ride, so we've done a fairly comprehensive debrief, and we talked about this briskness, sparkle, and this was a lot better. This was on the road from Caister down towards Horncastle. A lot more flowing, kept the speed up to 60, 62 on the speedo. Lost momentum a little bit there in the bends, and again we're on comms, and I was basically talking you through some bends, and he gradually got better. This good safety position on the near side for the brow of the hill, but you've got to maintain the momentum into the bends, because as soon as you start leaning your bike slows down. So positive throttle in the bends, and you'll find that you'll be able to take them at a lot higher speed than you were doing without any problem whatsoever. But I like this section, taking account of the position. I think you did start to get your gaze a lot further forward, because you were coming back saying that you'd spotted things. Not all the time, you were missing the odd one, but it's definitely getting better. And yeah, I enjoyed this section. This was interesting. We did this junction, and I said, oh, you've got an oncoming. And you said, what do you mean oncoming? And I said, you'll see in a minute. And again, I don't think you picked up on that heavy that was in the distance, probably because you were looking at the back of that van. So really remember to try and lift your gaze and look as far as you can. Nice overtake here. You've seen the bend, no hazards at all. Lovely, nice and smooth. I thought it was a good ride. Well done.